For 3 months, she gave him biscuits every morning. For 3 months, he pretended to have nothing. For 3 months, the richest man in Charleston sat on those stone steps, hoping to find what he'd lost decades ago, a pure heart. Rain pounds against the windows of Morgan's Corner Bakery. It's 6 in the morning, and Lucy Morgan already has flour-stained hands. At 25 years old, every line in her palms tells a story of honest work, endless early mornings, and dreams delayed by survival. Outside, sitting on the steps of St. Michael's Church, a 70-year-old man shivers under a worn blanket. His gray beard is soaked. His steel blue eyes observe every movement inside the bakery. No one knows that beneath this helpless appearance hides Raymond Gallagher, founder of a business empire valued at $500 million. Lucy looks up. She sees the old man and, without thinking, takes a freshly baked biscuit. She steps outside, ignores the rain soaking her white apron, and approaches. "Good morning, sir. Have you had breakfast?" He looks at her. For the first time in years, someone doesn't look away when seeing him. There's no disgust, no hurry, no indifference. Just a genuine smile and eyes that shine with a warmth he thought extinct in the world. "No, dear. Thank you." Lucy hands him the biscuit along with steaming coffee in a disposable cup. Raymond notices her hands are soft but firm, that she wears no expensive rings, that her smile isn't fake. "What's your name?" "Raymond, miss." "I'm Lucy. I've worked here since I can remember." This will be the first of 93 conversations. 93 days when a multimillionaire will pretend to be homeless to discover if selfless kindness still exists. 93 days that will change 2 lives forever. If this story already touched your heart in this first minute, subscribe to the channel. Here you'll find stories that heal, inspire, and make you believe in human goodness again. The aroma of fresh-baked biscuits floats through the cobblestone streets of Charleston's historic district. Morgan's Corner Bakery has been home to 3 generations of the Morgan family. The exposed brick walls hold echoes of laughter, tears, and whispered conversations from decades past. Lucy arranges the loaves in the window display while humming a song her grandmother used to sing to her. Her movements are precise, automatic. She's done this thousands of times, but never as a burden. For her, each biscuit is a small work of art. Each customer deserves a sincere smile. "Lucy, the man from the church is there again," comments her mother Carol, peeking through the back door. "I know, Mom. I'm going to take him breakfast." "Honey, we can't feed every needy person in the city." "Not everyone, Mom. Just him." Carol sighs. She knows that determined look in her daughter's eyes. It's the same one her own mother had when she decided to help someone. A family trait passed down from generation to generation, like an invisible inheritance. Lucy prepares a complete breakfast: buttered toast with jam, coffee with cream, and orange. She leaves the bakery and walks toward the church. Her footsteps echo against the wet stones of dawn. Raymond sees her approaching. From his privileged position on the steps, he can observe the entire neighborhood. He knows every shop, every neighbor, every routine. For 40 years, he built his empire buying properties in this same area. Now he owns half these streets, but nobody knows. "Good morning, Mr. Raymond." "Good morning, Lucy." She sits beside him on the steps. She doesn't care that her white apron gets stained, doesn't mind the damp smell of the old man's clothes. Her gesture is natural, without condescension or pity. "How did you sleep?" "As well as one can, dear. The shelter was full last night." Raymond lies. He's never set foot in a shelter in his life. The previous night he spent in his 500-square-meter mansion in the city's most exclusive neighborhood, reviewing financial reports and planning investments. But each lie hurts less than the truth. He's been completely alone for 3 years. "Do you have family, Mr. Raymond?" The old man fixes his gaze on the ground. His hands, apparently rough but actually cared for by dermatological treatments, tremble slightly. "I had 3 children. They don't speak to me anymore." "Why?" Because I was a bad father. Because I chose work over them. Because when I realized my mistake, it was too late. Lucy perceives the real pain in his voice. She doesn't know that David, Sarah, and Thomas Gallagher live in Atlanta, London, and New York, respectively. She doesn't know that all three cut contact with their father 5 years ago, after a fight over anticipated inheritances. She only feels the suffering of an old man who speaks of his mistakes with the humility of someone who has lost what matters most. It's never too late, Mr. Raymond. What do you know, child? You're too young to understand these things. I know my grandmother taught me that true love has no expiration date. That as long as we have life, we can repair what we broke. Raymond observes her carefully. Her words aren't cliches or superficial advice. There's genuine wisdom in this 25-year-old woman that many 60-year-old executives don't possess. And your family? Do you have a boyfriend, husband? Just my parents. I never found someone who loved me for who I really am, not for what I could give them. What do you mean? The last 3 guys I dated were more interested in my parents having a prosperous bakery than in knowing my dreams. They thought it was easy inheritance. Raymond smiles with irony. He knows that feeling perfectly. For decades, he had to distinguish between those who wanted him for his money and those who genuinely cared about him as a person. Now, disguised as a homeless man, he can experience the luxury of authenticity. What are those dreams? Lucy looks toward the horizon. Her eyes shine with a mixture of hope and melancholy. I want to travel. See the world beyond these streets. Learn languages. Experience different cultures. But I also want to help people like you. Open soup kitchens. Create programs for homeless people. Why don't you do it? Because dreams cost money, Mr. Raymond, and money doesn't grow on trees. The multimillionaire feels a stab in his chest. This extraordinary woman is limited by the same barrier he helped create, economic inequality. While he possesses more wealth than he can spend in several lifetimes, she sacrifices her aspirations for survival. Someday, Lucy, someday you'll have everything you deserve. Don't worry about me, Mr. Raymond. Worry about yourself. Have you tried contacting your children? It wouldn't help. To them, I'm dead. But you're not dead. You're here with me, sharing this breakfast. Raymond finishes eating. He gets up slowly, feigning the stiffness of someone who sleeps on the streets. Thank you, dear. You're very good. I'm not good, Mr. Raymond. I just do what my heart tells me. Lucy returns to the bakery. She doesn't know that Raymond remains on the steps another 30 minutes, watching her work through the glass. She also doesn't know that he takes out a latest generation cell phone from his pocket and dials his personal assistant's number. Ellen, it's me. I want you to investigate everything about the Morgan family, the ones from Morgan's Corner Bakery. Especially about the daughter, Lucy. But do it discreetly. Nobody can know it comes from me. What secrets will Raymond discover about the family that feeds him every day? And what will happen when Lucy begins to suspect that her homeless man is hiding something much bigger than a difficult life? A week later, the routine has been established. Every morning at 7, Lucy crosses the street with fresh breakfast. Every morning, Raymond waits for her in the same place, with the punctuality of someone who has directed corporate meetings for decades. Today, it rains again. Charleston's autumn paints the historic stones gray. Lucy carries an extra umbrella and offers it to the old man. Take it, Mr. Raymond. I don't want you to catch cold. You're very considerate, dear. They sit under the small shelter of the church's side entrance. The sound of rain against the ground creates natural intimacy, as if the world had shrunk to that small space they share. Can you tell me about your wife? Yesterday you mentioned you'd lost her. Raymond closes his eyes. For a moment, the homeless man's mask fades, and the genuine pain of a widower who never got over his loss appears. Teresa. Her name was Teresa Sullivan. I met her when I was 23. She worked as a secretary at a small construction company. How did you fall in love? I was very ambitious. I wanted to build a business, make money, prove that a neighborhood kid could go far. Teresa was the opposite. Calm, simple, happy with small things. Lucy listens carefully. She doesn't know she's hearing the real story of how Raymond Gallagher built his empire from scratch, starting with a small construction company he bought with a mortgage loan. What made her fall in love with you? She said she saw something good in me that I couldn't see myself, that underneath all that ambition was a man capable of loving deeply. And was she right? At first, yes. The early years were beautiful. We lived in a small apartment, but we were happy. When the children were born, I thought life couldn't be more perfect. Raymond pauses. His eyes moisten, but he doesn't allow the tears to fall. What happened? I started making money. A lot of money. And the more I earned, the more I wanted. I worked 18 hours a day. I spent weekends at the office. Family vacations were canceled for business, emergencies. Lucy feels a knot in her stomach. She's seen this story before, in neighbors, in acquaintances. Ambition that devours everything it touches. Did Teresa complain? At first, yes. She told me the children needed me, that she needed me. But I always had an excuse. It's temporary, I'd tell her. When I get this contract, everything will be different. When we reach this figure, we can relax. But that moment never came? Never. Because there was always a bigger contract, a higher figure, an opportunity I couldn't waste. Raymond remains silent for several minutes. The rain has lessened, but neither moves. This moment of confession is too valuable to interrupt. How did you lose Teresa? Cancer. She was 48 years old. The doctors said if they had detected it earlier, she would have had better chances. Why didn't they detect it earlier? Because I was never there to accompany her to medical checkups. Because when she complained of pain, I was in meetings. Because when she needed to go to the hospital, I was on business trips. Lucy takes his hand. It's an instinctive, natural gesture. She doesn't think about social differences, about infection risks from contact. She only sees a human being in pain who needs comfort. It wasn't your fault, Mr. Raymond. Yes, it was, dear. Completely. The day she died, I was in Atlanta closing the purchase of a hotel. My assistant called me 3 times before I answered. Teresa died alone, in the hospital, asking for me. The tears finally fall. Raymond cries with the intensity of someone who has kept this pain for years. Lucy says nothing. She just stays by his side, holding his hand, offering her presence as the only comfort. And your children? How did they react? They hated me, and they were right to do so. David was 21, Sarah 19, Thomas 17. At the funeral, they told me terrible but true things. That I had killed their mother with my absence, that I was a stranger to them, that my money couldn't buy forgiveness. Did you try to fix things? You know what I did? The worst thing I could do? I offered them money. I bought them apartments, cars, trips. I thought expensive gifts could replace the lost years. Did it work? For a while. They accepted my gifts, but they never accepted me. We lived like polite strangers. I gave them things. They thanked me. But there was never real love between us. Lucy imagines the loneliness of those children growing up without an emotional father, and the loneliness of that father who never learned to love correctly. What changed 5 years ago? I realized I was sick, heart problems. I thought I was going to die and wanted to distribute my inheritance while alive. But when I proposed it to them, they exploded. Why? Because they interpreted it as another way to buy their affection. David yelled that he didn't want my dirty money. Sarah told me she'd rather I died than continue pretending to be their father. Thomas simply left and never answered my calls again. Have you seen them since? No. 3 years ago, I tried to contact them one last time. Their lawyers sent me letters saying they wanted nothing to do with me, that they'd wait for me to die to receive their legal inheritance. Lucy feels deep sadness. She sees this old man who appears to have nothing, but who has actually lost the only thing that really matters, his family's love. Is that why you live on the streets? Raymond looks at her. For a moment, he's tempted to confess the whole truth. that he lives in a mansion, that he has employees, that he's the richest man in the region. But something stops him. Maybe it's fear of losing the only authentic relationship he's had in years. In a way, yes. When you lose what you love most, the rest seems meaningless. But Mr. Raymond, you don't have to live in the past. You can build new relationships, new family. At 70 years old, age doesn't matter. What matters is the heart. And you have a good heart, it just needs healing. Raymond smiles for the first time in weeks. This extraordinary woman sees goodness where his own children only found flaws. What do you know about love, Lucy? Have you never truly fallen in love? Once. His name was Alexander. I thought he was the love of my life. What happened? When he met my parents and saw the bakery wasn't as prosperous as he expected, he started changing. He began criticizing my work, my way of dressing, my dreams. He said I lacked ambition, that I settled for too little. And what did you do? I left him. I preferred being alone to being in bad company. You did right. Sometimes I wonder if I was too demanding, if I should have fought harder for that relationship. No, dear. Real love doesn't need you to fight for it. Real love fights for you. Lucy looks at him with surprise. His words have wisdom she didn't expect from someone who appears to live on the streets. You're very wise, Mr. Raymond. May solitude teaches much. When you have nothing to lose, you can see things more clearly. The rain has stopped completely. The mid-morning sun begins warming the wet stones. Lucy must return to work, but doesn't want to end this conversation. Mr. Raymond, will you promise me something? What? That you won't give up. That you'll try to be happy somehow. I'll promise if you promise me something too. What? That you won't give up on your dreams. That someday you'll travel, see the world, help others like you help me. I promise. They say goodbye with a hug. It's the first real physical contact Raymond has had in months. He feels human warmth, the warmth of someone who hugs him without knowing who he really is. When Lucy leaves, he remains on the steps thinking. This woman has given him more in 1 week than his children gave him in decades. But what will happen when she discovers the truth? Will she forgive him for lying? Or will she feel betrayed like everyone else? What Raymond doesn't know is that Lucy is also thinking about him. There's something in his manners, in his way of speaking, in his knowledge, that doesn't fit with the image of a homeless man. But for now, she prefers not to ask uncomfortable questions. Both feel that this extraordinary friendship is about to face its first great test. November wind whips through Charleston's streets with unusual fury. Dry leaves dance in violent whirlwinds while the first drops of an unexpected storm begin to fall. It's 5 in the afternoon, and Morgan's Corner Bakery is closing. Lucy stores the last biscuits of the day when she hears a strange noise from the street. She looks through the glass and sees Mr. Raymond collapsed on the church steps. His body shakes violently. His lips have acquired a worrying blue tone. Without thinking twice, Lucy runs to him. The rain is already falling heavily, soaking her clothes in seconds. Mr. Raymond, what's wrong? The old man can barely speak. His breathing is labored, choppy. His eyes, normally lucid, are glassy and disoriented. Cold, cold. I can't. Lucy feels his forehead. He's burning with fever, but his body shakes as if he had hypothermia. She recognizes the symptoms. Her grandfather had died of pneumonia after similar exposure to cold and dampness. Easy, Mr. Raymond. I'm taking you to the hospital. No, I don't have money. Don't worry about that now. Lucy helps the old man to his feet. He's heavier than she expected, but adrenaline gives her extraordinary strength. She wraps him in her coat and, with iron determination, stops the first taxi she sees. To Medical University Hospital, please. It's an emergency. The taxi driver sees the soaked old man and hesitates a moment. Miss, that man looks... He's my grandfather. Please. During the trip, Raymond delirious. He murmurs names, figures, contracts. Lucy hears incomprehensible fragments. David, The London hotel. 500 million. Teresa, forgive me. In the emergency room, doctors quickly evaluate the patient. Acute pneumonia, severe dehydration, beginning hypothermia. He needs immediate hospitalization. Are you related to him? Asks the nurse. Yes, Lucy lies without hesitation. He's my grandfather. We need someone to take responsibility for hospital expenses. Lucy feels her stomach drop. Her personal savings don't reach $1,000. But she looks at the unconscious old man on the stretcher and makes the most impulsive decision of her life. I'll take responsibility. The next 3 days are an emotional whirlwind for Lucy. She spends nights in an uncomfortable chair next to Raymond's bed, holds his hand when he's delirious, gives him water with a spoon when he's conscious. Her parents don't understand her decision. Lucy, that man isn't our family, her mother tells her over the phone. We can't assume these expenses. It's the right thing to do, Mom. The right thing is to help, but this goes beyond that. You've already spent $800 on medications not covered by insurance. I know. Where are you going to get the rest of the money? Lucy looks at the necklace she's wearing. A gold chain with a heart-shaped pendant that belonged to her grandmother Carol. It's the only valuable thing she owns, her only family inheritance. I'll find a way. That afternoon, while Raymond sleeps sedated, Lucy leaves the hospital and walks to the nearest pawn shop. How much will you give me for this? She asks, removing the necklace. The appraiser examines the piece carefully. It's 18-karat gold. I can offer you $400. I need $500. $450, and that's my final offer. Lucy accepts. She puts the money in her purse and returns to the hospital with a heavy heart but clear conscience. During the second night, Raymond delirious again. This time, Lucy hears his murmurs more clearly. Teresa, forgive me. The children, the Majestic Hotel, Gallagher Capital shares. Lucy frowns. Gallagher Capital? She's heard that name in the news. It's one of the country's most important companies. What could a homeless man know about that company? On the third day, Raymond wakes completely lucid. He sees Lucy asleep in the chair, with deep circles under her eyes and wrinkled clothes. Her purse is open and he can see the receipts for medications she's paid for. When she opens her eyes, he's watching her with a mixture of gratitude and curiosity. How long have you been here? 3 days. How do you feel? Better. But you look terrible. Lucy smiles weakly. Thank you. You also know how to flatter a woman. Lucy, why did you do this? Do what? Take care of me, spend your money on me, sacrifice your time, your rest. Lucy looks at him as if the question were absurd. Because it's what you do. When someone needs you, you help them. Even if that someone is a stranger? You're not a stranger, Mr. Raymond. You're my friend. Raymond feels something break in his chest. This extraordinary woman considers him her friend. Without knowing who he really is, without expecting anything in return, she has risked her economic stability to save him. The doctors say they'll discharge me tomorrow. I'm glad. But I have a problem. What? I need to leave Charleston. I got a job opportunity in Nashville. It's the best thing that's happened to me in years. Lucy feels a stab of sadness. She's gotten used to seeing him every morning, sharing those deep conversations. The idea of losing him hurts more than she expected. I'm happy for you. You deserve it. But I need money for transportation for the first days until I receive my first paycheck. $200. Lucy mentally does quick calculations. Her bank account is practically empty after hospital expenses. Her savings have disappeared. She only has $300 left from selling the necklace, which she needs for next month's expenses. Of course, I'll give you the money. Are you sure? Completely. Raymond observes her carefully. He looks for any sign of doubt, resentment, interested calculation. He finds nothing. He only sees pure generosity, selfless love. How are you going to recover that money? Don't worry about that. What's important is that you can start over. That afternoon, Lucy goes to the bank and withdraws the $200. It's all she has, but she doesn't hesitate for a moment. She gives it to Raymond in a sealed envelope. Here you go. And Mr. Raymond, yes, promise me you'll write to me. That you'll tell me how things go in Nashville. I promise. And that if you ever need to return to Charleston, you'll come see me. I promise that too. They hug. For Lucy, it's a painful but necessary goodbye. For Raymond, it's the most emotional moment he's lived in decades. This woman has passed the most difficult test he could imagine. She has proven that her goodness is absolutely genuine. That night, after Lucy leaves, Raymond takes out his cell phone and calls his assistant. Ellen, it's me. I need you to cancel all my commitments for next week and prepare the documents I asked for a month ago, the legal adoption ones. Mr. Gallagher? I found my daughter, Ellen. After 70 years, I finally found someone who can be my real family. What Raymond doesn't know is that Lucy, walking home, has stopped in front of a jewelry store window. She sees her reflection in the glass and notices she no longer wears her grandmother's necklace. She instinctively touches her neck, feeling the emptiness where for years was her only family inheritance. But she doesn't regret it. In her heart, she knows her grandmother would have been proud of this decision. She had raised a granddaughter capable of sacrificing herself for a stranger, capable of choosing compassion over material security. She walks home with empty pockets, but a full soul. She doesn't know that tomorrow her life will change forever. But what secret is Raymond planning? And what will happen when Lucy discovers that the man she saved wasn't who he appeared to be? A week later, Lucy has returned to her normal routine. Every morning she looks toward the steps of St. Michael's Church with a mixture of nostalgia and hope. The steps are empty, but she keeps the hope of receiving news from Mr. Raymond from Nashville. It's Tuesday morning. The bakery is filled with the familiar aroma of fresh-baked biscuits when 3 black cars park in front of the entrance. They're elegant vehicles, the type never seen in this working-class neighborhood. From the first car descends an older man, dressed in an impeccable suit. From the second, 2 people with leather briefcases get out. From the third, 2 men who are clearly bodyguards emerge. Lucy observes them through the glass with curiosity. All 5 head toward the bakery with determined steps. "Excuse me, are you Lucy Morgan?" asked the older man. "Yes, that's me. How can I help you?" "My name is Edward Matthews. I'm a lawyer. I come representing my client, Mr. Raymond Gallagher." Lucy blinks, confused. "Mr. Raymond? Has something happened to him? Is he okay?" "He's perfectly fine, Miss Morgan. In fact, he's waiting for you outside." Lucy leaves the bakery and can't believe what her eyes see. Raymond is there, but completely transformed. He wears a perfectly cut gray suit, Italian leather shoes, his beard is perfectly trimmed, and his hair professionally styled. But what impacts her most is his posture. He's no longer the hunched old man who sat on the steps. He's a man of distinguished bearing, with the natural presence of someone accustomed to leading and being obeyed. "Hello, Lucy." "Mr. Raymond, what's happening? I need to tell you the truth. Can we talk privately?" Lucy, still in shock, invites him to the small apartment her family has above the bakery. Her parents watch them from the kitchen with curiosity and concern. Once alone in the living room, Raymond takes a deep breath. "Lucy, my real name is Raymond Gallagher Matthews. I'm the founder and president of Gallagher Capital Group." Gallagher Capital? The hotel company? Hotels, shopping centers, housing developments, real estate investments. "My personal fortune is valued at $500 million. Lucy sits down slowly. Her mind tries to process this impossible information. You were never homeless?" "No. For the last 3 months, I pretended to be homeless to test something I thought was lost forever." "What?" "Selfless human kindness. For decades, all the people who approached me did so for my money. Employees, partners, even my own children. I needed to know if there was still someone capable of loving without expecting anything in return." Lucy feels a mixture of confusion, betrayal, and understanding. And I was your experiment? At first, yes, but very soon you stopped being an experiment to become the most important thing in my life. Why are you telling me this now? Because I want to ask you something I've never asked anyone, something my own children rejected when I offered it to them. Raymond approaches her and takes her hands. Lucy Morgan, I want to legally adopt you as my daughter. I want you to be my heir, my family, the person who continues my legacy. What? During these months, you've proven to have the noblest heart I've ever known. When I was sick, you risked your economic stability to save me. When I needed money to leave, you gave me everything you had without asking questions. Lucy stands up, agitated. Because I thought you needed it. Because I thought you were my friend. And I am. I'm your friend and I want to be your adoptive father. You lied to me for months. Yes, I lied about my economic situation, but I never lied about my feelings. Everything I told you about Teresa, about my children, about my loneliness, it was all true. Lucy walks around the room, trying to assimilate this revelation. Do your real children know about this? 5 years ago, they completely cut contact with me. Their lawyers sent me legal documents prohibiting me from approaching them. To my biological children, I'm dead. And you want to replace them with me? I don't want to replace them, Lucy. I want to choose a family based on real love, not blood obligation. I want to have a daughter who loves me for who I am, not for what I can give her. But what can I give you? I'm a simple baker. You give me what no one else has given me in decades: respect, genuine affection, company without interest. You give me real conversations, authentic concern, the feeling of being valued as a person. Lucy sits again, overwhelmed. And what would it mean to be your adoptive daughter? Legally, you'd be my universal heir. When I die, you'll receive all my patrimony. But while I'm alive, I want to share everything I have with you. I want to fulfill your dreams of traveling, studying languages, helping others. And in return, I only want your company. I want to have breakfast with you on Sundays. I want to hear your stories. I want to be the father I never knew how to be with my biological children. Lucy remains silent for several minutes. Raymond respects her time for reflection. Can I ask you something? Of course. During these months, when we talked on the steps, was there anything real in those conversations? Everything was real, Lucy. My feelings toward you, my regret about the past, my desire to find an authentic connection. The only lie was my economic situation. And if I accept this, would it change the relationship we have? Only to improve it. You'd still be the same Lucy who gave me biscuits every morning, but now you'd have the resources to do all the good you want to do in the world. Lucy looks out the window toward the steps where it all began. Mr. Raymond, call me Papa Raymond if you want. I need time to think about it. Of course, take all the time you need. And meanwhile, I'd like to demonstrate that my intentions are genuine. Raymond signals toward the window. Below, the lawyer comes up with a folder of documents. What's that? The deed of purchase for this building. I just acquired the entire block. Your parents are now official owners of the bakery with no mortgage debts. Lucy opens her eyes wide. What? I've also established an investment fund of $2 million to create a national chain of Morgan's Corner Bakery. Your family will be majority partners. Why are you doing this? Because I want you to know my intentions aren't whimsical. I want your family to know me and trust me before you make your decision. Lucy feels the world swaying around her. In one morning, her life has gone from economic survival to unimaginable possibilities. And if I say no, if I don't want to be your adoptive daughter, then I'll continue being your friend, if you'll let me. The gifts for your family have no conditions. I gave them because you all gave me something invaluable when you thought I had nothing. What did we give you? Dignity, respect, unconditional love. Lucy gets up and walks to the window. She sees her parents below, talking excitedly with the lawyer. She sees the neighborhood where she's lived her entire life. She sees the steps where she met the man who's now offering to change her destiny. "Mr. Raymond, Papa Raymond." "Yes." "If I accept being your daughter, can I put one condition?" "Whatever you want." "My biological parents must also be part of this new family. I won't abandon them for money." Raymond smiles with tears in his eyes. "Lucy, that condition confirms I made the right decision. Carol and Michael Morgan will be my in-laws. This family just grew. It didn't change." They hug. For the first time, it's a hug between father and daughter. But how will Raymond's biological children react when they find out about this decision? And what more surprises does this multimillionaire have prepared to prove his paternal love is genuine? 6 months after the revelation, Lucy's life has changed in ways she never imagined possible. The Morgan's Corner bakery chain now has 12 locations throughout the United States, and she travels regularly supervising operations and developing new products. But not everything has been easy. The news of Raymond Gallagher's adoption has shaken the country's business and social circles. The media has speculated about the reasons behind this decision, and Raymond's biological children have reacted as expected. It's a Friday afternoon when 3 people Lucy had never seen arrive at the original Charleston bakery, but whom she recognizes immediately from photos Raymond has shown her: David, Sarah, and Thomas Gallagher. David, 41 years old, is tall and elegant like his father, but his expression is hard and calculating. Sarah, 39, has the sophisticated beauty of someone who has always lived in abundance, but her eyes reflect bitterness. Thomas, the youngest at 37, maintains a defensive posture that reveals his discomfort. "Are you Lucy Morgan?" asks David without preamble. "Yes, and you are?" "We're Raymond Gallagher's real children. We came to talk to you about this adoption farce." Lucy invites them up to the apartment. Her parents retreat discreetly, sensing the tension in the air. "Before you say anything," begins Lucy, "I want you to know I didn't seek this situation. Your father approached me, not the other way around." "By pretending to be homeless?" asks Sarah sarcastically. "Yes, we already know his version of events." "His version?" "It's the truth." "The truth," intervenes Thomas, "is that our father is a manipulator who always finds ways to control the people around him." "And you think he's controlling me?" "We think he's using his money to buy you, like he always does with everyone," responds David. "The question is, how much are you going to ask from him before you disappear from his life?" Lucy stands up, annoyed. "You know what? Your reactions confirm exactly why your father needed to find a different family." "Excuse me?" Sarah also stands. "A different family? We're his real family." "Really? When was the last time you talked to him? When was the last time you cared to know if he was okay, if he was alone, if he needed something more than money?" The 3 siblings exchange uncomfortable glances. "That's none of your business," murmurs Thomas. "It became my business when I found your father sick, collapsed on some steps, and had to take him to the hospital because he had nobody else." "Sick?" asks David with a mixture of concern and skepticism. "When?" "6 months ago. Acute pneumonia. He was hospitalized for 3 days. Do you know who was with him? Me, a stranger. Do you know who paid for his medicines? Me, selling the only valuable object I had." Sarah sits down slowly. Why didn't he call us?" "Because you told him 5 years ago that you didn't want to know anything about him until he died." The silence becomes heavy. The 3 siblings process this information with expressions that change from defensive toward something resembling guilt. "Look," continues Lucy, with a softer voice, "I'm not here to judge you. I don't know the whole story between you and your father. But I do know the man I've come to love as a father these past months." "What do you know about him?" asks David. "I know he wakes up every dawn with nightmares where he asks forgiveness from you and your mother. I know he keeps photos of when you were children in his wallet." I know he declines invitations to social events because he says happiness can't be faked when your heart is broken. Thomas looks toward the floor. Does she also know he was never at our birthdays? That he missed graduations, school plays, sports competitions? I know that. And I know that's the reason he suffers so much. He told me himself he was a bad father, that he chose work over you. And now you think he can change at 70 years old? Asks Sarah. I think he already changed. The man who adopted me isn't the same one who abandoned you when you were children. He's someone who has learned from his mistakes, who has paid a very high price for them. David approaches the window and looks toward the church steps. Did he really sit there every day pretending to be poor? Every day for 3 months, rain or shine, waiting for someone to treat him like a human being, not like a bank account. And you really didn't know who he was? I had no idea. To me, he was Mr. Raymond, an older gentleman who needed company and a hot breakfast. Sarah wipes away a tear that has begun forming. How is he now? Physically, well, emotionally. He's trying to build something new. With me, with my adoptive parents, with the people who work at the company. Has he said anything about us? Asks Thomas with a broken voice. He's told me he loves you, that he understands why you hate him, that he respects your decision not to want to see him, but that if you ever change your minds, he'll be waiting. The 3 siblings look at each other. David breaks the silence. Do you know what's most ironic about all this? What? That we spent years waiting for him to show us he could love us unconditionally. And when we finally cut contact, he found someone who loves him without even knowing he had money. It's not about who loves him more or better, says Lucy. It's about him needing family, and you needing it too. Life is too short to waste on grudges. Sarah stands up. Could we see him? Talk to him? That doesn't depend on me. It depends on you and him. Would you be willing to help us? Asks David. To mediate between us? Lucy smiles for the first time since they arrived. Of course. At the end of the day, we're all family now. An hour later, Raymond receives a call he didn't expect in his entire life. Dad, it's David. The multimillionaire, who was reviewing contracts in his office, drops the documents. David, how? Are you okay? We're okay. Sarah, Thomas, and I. We just met Lucy. And? And we want to talk to you. We want to officially meet our new sister. Raymond closes his eyes and feels his heart, which had been broken for so many years, finally begin to heal. Where do you want us to meet? On the steps of St. Michael's Church. We think it's the perfect place to start over. The next day, for the first time in 5 years, the Gallagher family meets complete. Raymond arrives punctually at 7 in the morning. Lucy is waiting for him with breakfast for 5 people. A few minutes later, David, Sarah, and Thomas appear. The meeting is uncomfortable at first, but gradually the ice begins breaking. Lucy acts as a natural mediator, helping father and children rediscover each other. Dad, says Sarah during breakfast, we want to ask your forgiveness. Why? For not being with you when you were sick. For not trying to understand your perspective. For being so hard on you. You don't need to ask my forgiveness. I'm the one who should... Dad, interrupts David, we all made mistakes. But what's important is that we're here now. Raymond looks at his 4 children, the 3 biological ones he had lost, and the adoptive one he had chosen. Can you forgive an old fool who took 70 years to learn what really matters in life? The answer comes in the form of a group hug on the steps where it all began. But will this happy ending last? Can they really heal decades of pain in a single conversation? And what final surprise does Raymond have to prove that this time his change is definitive? 1 year later, Morgan's Corner Bakery is decorated with gold and silver balloons. It's Raymond Gallagher's 71st birthday, but the celebration isn't at his mansion or in a luxury hotel. It's here, in the place where it all began. The 36 chain locations have closed early so all employees can attend. The Teresa Gallagher Foundation for Homeless People, created in honor of Raymond's deceased wife, has organized a special lunch for 200 beneficiaries in the nearby park. Lucy, now 26 years old, wears a simple but elegant dress. She has traveled to 12 countries in the past year, learning international baking techniques and social aid systems. Her eyes shine with the satisfaction of someone who is living their dreams without losing their essence. David now manages the hotel division of the family company. Sarah directs the charitable foundation. Thomas supervises real estate investments. The four siblings work together for the first time in their lives. Carol and Michael Morgan, Lucy's parents, have been officially adopted as grandparents by David, Sarah, and Thomas. The original bakery now functions as a museum and training center for new employees. Raymond, wearing an apron that says, "The Grandpa Baker," is behind the counter serving coffee to guests. His transformation is complete. From lonely multimillionaire to patriarch of an extended family of more than 1,000 people. "Papa Raymond," says Lucy, approaching. "Are you ready for the toast? Sure you don't want David to speak? He's the eldest son." "I'm sure. You're the one who should speak." Raymond takes a glass and gently taps a spoon against the crystal. The murmur of conversation stops. "Friends, family, my children. Exactly 1 year ago, I was the richest and poorest man in the world at the same time. Rich in money, poor in love. Rich in properties, poor in relationships. Rich in business success, poor in human success." His voice breaks slightly, but he continues. 18 months ago, I sat on those steps," he points toward the church, "looking for something I thought was lost forever. I wasn't looking for money. I wasn't looking for respect. I wasn't looking for recognition. I was looking for one thing, a heart that would love me for who I am, not for what I have." Lucy feels tears in her eyes. Her adoptive siblings are also emotional. "God gave me more than I asked for. I didn't just find a pure heart. I found a complete family. I found a daughter who taught me that love can't be bought. It's earned day by day. I found 3 children who forgave me decades of absence. I found in-laws who adopted me as if I were their son. I found a reason to live that has nothing to do with figures in a bank account." Raymond looks directly at Lucy. "Lucy Morgan Gallagher, when I first saw you bringing me breakfast without knowing me, I knew I had found what I'd been looking for my entire life. Not a daughter by blood, but a daughter by choice. A daughter by love." He approaches her and hugs her. "David, Sarah, Thomas, you taught me that forgiveness is possible, that families can heal, that it's never too late to start over." The 4 children join the hug. "That's why today, on my 71st birthday, I don't want gifts. I already have everything a man could desire. I have family that loves me, work that I'm passionate about, and the opportunity to help others from when I wake up until I go to bed." The crowd applauds emotionally. "But I do want to give a gift. Lucy, could you come closer?" Lucy approaches, curious. Raymond takes out a small blue velvet box. "This was my wife Teresa's necklace. I've kept it for 20 years, waiting to find the right woman to give it to." He opens the box. It's a white gold chain with a heart-shaped pendant, identical to the one Lucy sold to pay for his medicines. "It's not the same as your grandmother's, but I hope it can take its place." Lucy cries openly while Raymond puts the necklace on her. "Dad, it's perfect." "Now, all of you," continues Raymond, addressing the guests, "get out of here and go hug your families. Say I love you to those who really matter. Don't wait until you're 70 to realize that money can be earned, but lost time is never recovered." The celebration continues until sunset. When the last guests leave, only Raymond and Lucy remain cleaning the bakery. "Do you regret it?" he asks while they sweep together. "Do you regret feeding a liar on those steps?" Lucy smiles while storing the last dishes. "Do you regret pretending to be poor to find true love?" "Never." "Then we have something in common." They finish cleaning and go outside. Instinctively, they walk toward the steps of St. Michael's Church. They sit in the same place where they met 18 months before. Do you know what I think, Papa Raymond? What do you think, daughter? That sometimes a piece of bread is enough to change two lives, that sometimes the most beautiful families are born from chosen love, not imposed by blood, and that true wealth isn't measured in dollars but in hearts that beat for us. Raymond hugs her while the sun sets behind the old buildings of Charleston. And do you know what I think, Lucy? What? That my real life began the day an extraordinary woman decided to feed a stranger without asking for anything in return. They stay sitting on the steps until the first stars appear. Two people who found each other when they needed each other most, who built a family from scratch, who proved that true love always finds a way to flourish. In the distance, the lights of the 36 Morgan's Corner bakery locations turn on like small beacons of hope throughout the United States. In each one, there's a framed photo. Raymond and Lucy sitting on those steps, smiling like only those who have found their place in the world smile. Sometimes, the greatest blessings come disguised as beggars. Sometimes the richest hearts live in the humblest bodies. And sometimes giving everything you have is the only way to receive everything you need. If this story touched your heart, if it made you believe that selfless goodness still exists in the world, share it. Because somewhere there's a Raymond waiting to find a Lucy, and there's a Lucy waiting for the opportunity to prove her heart is made of pure gold. Subscribe to our channel for more stories that restore faith in humanity. Comment on what you would do if you found someone in need on some steps. Would you be indifferent or would you be the difference? Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much money we have in the bank. What matters is how much love we're capable of giving without expecting anything in return. True wealth is measured in shared smiles, consoled tears, and lives changed by a simple act of kindness. When was the last time you fed a stranger's soul? The next time you see someone in need, remember, you could be facing your next disguised blessing.